Cules of the world. Attention, attention, because what I'm about to tell you today isn't news, it isn't a rumor, it isn't just some summer gossip. It's a nuclear bomb that will leave Tomas Roncero in shock, Edu Aguirre stuttering, and Florentino Perez praying in his office surrounded by photos of Hazard and Mbappe. Because yes, friends, Barça is already secretly negotiating with its new Brazilian superstar, with the kid who will make the Bernabeu tremble, with the South American diamond many call the new Neymar. If you bleed Blaugrana and hate the whistles gifted to Madrid, subscribe now and join this Cule family that says things clearly without beating around the bush, but who is actually already closer to being the heir of Lionel Messi than anyone. We're talking about Steve William, the Palmeiras Messiah, the 17-year-old prodigy who seems born to wear the Blaugrana and who will become the new nightmare of Madridismo. That Madridismo that lives off invented penalties and Mbappe headlines, but when faced with real talent, with cradle football, with Barça DNA, always ends up small, silent, crying like babies, live on El Chiringuito. Yes, Cules, this is the bomb. Estiano is on Barca's radar, and there are already moves under the table, secret meetings, Deco traveling incognito, Laporta preparing masterstrokes, and Florentino trying to get Marca to write that Madrid was never interested to cover it up, but the reality is that Barca is very much alive, and the future is looking Blaugrana more than ever. Imagine for a moment. Imagine the attack in a few years. Lamine Yamal on the right, born from devilry, Stephen William on the left destroying defenses, and in the middle, a Cule number 9 completing the future. This isn't an attack, it's a scandal that will cause anxiety attacks in Madridismo, because we already know they only inflate themselves with headline signings. But when a Real kid appears, a crack with pure DNA, they tremble, panic, start making lame excuses, and seek comfort in bar reruns. And we're not talking about just any player, no sir. We're talking about a kid who, in Brazil, already has the status of the chosen one, who has been key at Palmeiras, who moves like a veteran at just 17, who has electric dribbling, who takes on defenses as if they were training cones, who has the audacity of football gods. Videos of Esteban are already circulating everywhere. What he does with the ball seems to come straight from Ronaldinho's YouTube prime. Nutmegs, flicks, hooks, feints, top corner finishes, and all of it with the naturalness of the chosen ones, because there are players who force the game, who sweat to pull off a dribble, and others for whom it comes naturally, for whom football flows as if they were drinking water. And Esteban is that kind of player, the one who was born with dribbling tattooed in his blood. While the Madridistas celebrate that Mbappe has finally arrived, a signing they've been selling since the brick Nokia era, Barca is preparing the real move, the masterstroke, the signing that will mark an era, because what's the point of bringing in the Frenchman for 100 million at 26 if, in return, Barca brings in a kid who can't even vote yet, who can't rent a car, but who is already capable of humiliating defenses in the Libertadores. Florentino will say there was no room, that it wasn't necessary, that they already had someone else for that position, as usual. As it was with Ronaldinho, who according to them didn't defend enough and ended up humiliating them at the Bernabeu to the point that the Madridista crowd applauded him. Because history always repeats itself. Barca signs magic, Madrid signs marketing. And of course, now I can already imagine Edu Aguirre on El Chiringuito saying, well, he's good, but he doesn't score, he's not Mbappe, with a constipated face, and Roncero screaming that Barca can't sign anyone because they're broke. And Pedrerol ironically asking if Laporta has money to pay for Deco's bus to Brazil. The Madridismo show is always the same. First, they deny, then they scorn, then they make excuses, and finally, they cry. It will be the same with Esteban, because Cules, this kid is different. This kid is destined to be the new white headache. Imagine the scene. Year 2026, Clásico at the Spotify Camp Nou. Lamine starts, passes to Gavi. Gavi threads a through ball to Esteban, who faces poor Carvajal, who by then will already be selling empanadas on a corner of Castellana. And boom, dribble, nutmeg, cut inside, and a top corner goal. The crowd explodes with joy, the Camp Nou transformed into a Cule rave. While the cameras show the Madrid box with Florentino hiding his face behind the official program. This is what's coming, and that's why they're nervous, because Barca is doing what it does best again, turning a South American kid into the new figure of football. Barca doesn't just sign players, Barca signs artists, stars who inspire, geniuses who turn matches into spectacles. Because Barca doesn't play to win, it plays to win with style, with identity, with DNA. And every time Barca has set its eyes on a Brazilian of this caliber, Romario, Ronaldo, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, Neymar, All have left their mark, all have turned football upside down, and now Esteban will be the next on that list. Florentino can boast about media-friendly signings, but those names fade quickly, while those who come to Barça leave history, leave a legacy, leave eternal memories. Esteban's signing also has a brutal effect inside the Blaugrana locker room because Lamine Yamal needs a partner, someone with the same mentality, with the same talent. Imagine this duo, Lamine fainting on one side, Esteban on the other. Rivals, not knowing who to cover, running from side to side as if they were chess pawns in the hands of two masters. This isn't just an attack, it's an eternal condemnation for rivals. Vinicius can do his bicycle kicks in the void, but when you have mine and Estiano in front of you, the nonsense is over. The best thing about all this is that Madrid, as always, will try to join the dance late. They'll start leaking that yes, they were also interested in Esteban, that they were following him too, that they wanted him too, because they can't stand that a Brazilian talent says yes to Barça and no to Madrid. They've already done it with Neymar, they've already done it with Ronaldinho, they'll do it again. History repeats itself like a bad joke. Barça brings football, Madrid brings excuses. And of course, they'll pull out their favorite joker. Barça is broke, they repeat it like parrots, as if they didn't also close in the red every year. But the difference is that Barça has magic, has appeal, has a shirt that makes you fall in love, and when Deco calls a Brazilian and says, "Do you want to play at Camp Nou?" that kid already signs without looking at the contract because the history weighs, because the shirt weighs, because being part of Barça is being part of an eternal revolution that disturbs. Madrid is bankrupt, they repeat like parrots, as if they don't also close in the red every year. But the difference is that Barça has magic, has allure, has a shirt that makes you fall in love. And when Deco calls a Brazilian and says, "Do you want to play at Camp Nou?" that kid signs without even looking at the contract, because the history weighs, because the shirt weighs, because being part of Barça is being part of an eternal revolution that disturbs the white power. Meanwhile, the Madrid press lives in its endless Mbappé loop. This year, yes. This year he's coming. No, next year. Now, yes. Now it's certain. 10 years selling the same headline, and now that he's finally arrived, what? Another round of 16 defeat, another collective whining. While they live in an eternal, almost, Barça secures the present and the future with Estiano and LAMINE. That's the difference, Cules. And that's why this secret signing is so important, because it's not just about bringing in a good player, it's about stealing the narrative from the opponent, proving that the white narrative claiming Barça can't compete is a pure lie. And let's not fool ourselves. When this signing is finalized, Madridismo will enter Greek tragedy mode. We'll see Roncero with a broken voice saying, "It's theft." Edu Aguirre justifying that the kid is still too young, that he's not ready, that he's not cut out for Europe. And Pedrerol saying that ultimately it was a personal decision because Madrid couldn't lower its standards. But we all know the truth. Brazilians with magic choose Barça because here they become legends. There, they're just collectible images. Cules, this is the moment to open your eyes because Operation Esteban isn't just a signing, it's reclaiming the historical thread that connects us to the South American essence, to that spark, that audacity, that joy that makes you fall in love, that makes football transcend. If Neymar already lifted the Camp Nou to its feet, imagine what it will be like to see Esteban with Lamine. Together, two daggers, two fantasies with the ball. The future belongs to us, and that's what hurts Madridismo the most. Let's get serious for a moment. What does it really mean that Barça is moving heaven and earth for Esteban? It means sealing a glorious future in a context where all the white vultures have been saying for years that the club is dead, that Barça can no longer recruit, that we're a walking corpse, that Laporta is selling smoke. Well, look, Florentino, here's your smoke turned into samba fire, into Brazilian football raised to the maximum power. Because Estiano isn't just some random promise. He's the kind of player the cameras follow even in training. He's the name that echoes in every bar in Sao Paulo. He's the kid people are already talking about as the future of the Canarinha, Brazilian national team. And watch out, because Brazil gets serious when it talks about young talent. In their time, they did it with Neymar, and they were right. In their time, they did it with Ronaldinho, and they were right. And now they're doing it with Esteban. And Barça sees the signal very clearly. What's ridiculous is how Madridismo tries to digest it with their typical cheap, arrogant strategy. First, denial. No, nothing is finalized, it's inventions of the Catalan press. Then comes the scorn phase. He's too young, he'll burn out, another Vinicius Guanabara. And when they have nothing left, the whining phase appears. Barça never helps us. They're trying to harm us. Yes, of course. Harm you when you get penalties in your favor, even in training matches. But of course, the biggest wound will be seeing Barça return to fishing in Brazil when Madrid always boasts about its Brazilians. Because, Kules, tell me the truth. How many Brazilians have truly marked history at Madrid? Ronaldo Nazario stayed 5 years, but he arrived already past his prime. Roberto Carlos was a tank, okay? But a Brazilian icon with magic? None. Here, the Brazilians who change football have always been Kules. And the best part is that this operation is being handled with the secrecy of a spy movie. Deco, talking to Palmeiras people as if he were James Bond with a hidden earpiece. Laporta opening bottles of red wine every time he gets confirmation that the player wants Barça. And in parallel, the white journalists, desperate, are looking for drama everywhere. Do you remember Neymar? Madrid saying he was theirs, that he was done for them, and in the end, boom, presentation at Camp Nou. With STE, it will be the same. They'll repeat the ridiculousness of their lives, and that moment will be sweeter than a 2-6 commemorative jersey. Now I want you to visualize this with me. A future Champions League match, quarterfinals in the new Spotify camp, stadium packed, lights shining, mosaic with the 4 bars and the Señora. And on the field, Barça with an offensive trident formed by LAMINE, YAMAL, Esteban, and a number 9 who becomes the perfect complement. The opponent is Real Madrid. How could it be otherwise? Because life gives us these pleasures. Vinicius tries to do a bicycle kick, but Araujo steals it from him as if taking candy from a baby. GAVI recovers, makes a through pass to LAMINE, who instead of trying a solo dribble lifts his head, looks to the other side. And there you have Estiano, boom. There he is. Esteban versus Carvajal at the 55th minute. Stadium on its feet. People sensing the goal. Carvajal backs up, tries to cover, but Estiano hits him with a first dribble, a second dribble, a nutmeg, breaks his hip, finishes with a cross shot, and Courtois, or whoever is in goal, doesn't even feel it. Magnificent goal. The Camp Nou transformed into an earthquake. Brazilian commentators screaming, Gol do Barça, Gol de Esteban, and the camera framing Roncero on the TV set, pouring water on his head to extinguish the fire of his Madridista soul. This is the future, Kules. This is what's coming. And meanwhile, Edu Aguirre stutters, it's that climate change harmed Madrid. It's that the grass wasn't perfect. The eternal show, but the delicious part is that they already know the impact. Estiano won't just add goals and assists, he'll reinforce Barca's identity as a global nursery of quality football. The Camp Nou has always been the home of great artists, Ronaldinho, Iniesta, Messi, and now the Brazilian kid many feared because if Barca locks him into its project, arms him, and surrounds him, another decade of aesthetic supremacy is coming. The effect on Kules fans will be a renaissance because, after years of economic suffering and internal problems, seeing that the club is capable of signing the new Messino is proof that Laporta and company know how to play chess. And even if Madridismo says no, they know it matters. They know it's a dagger to the heart. Do you believe Esteban will silence the Bocas Blancas, white mouths? Do you believe the Camp Nou will witness the new Ronaldinho of the 21st century? Or do you think Florentino will repeat the historical ridiculousness of saying he didn't fit at Madrid? I have it clear. Esteban is Blaugrana. Esteban is the future. Esteban is the white nightmare. Because for every mature Mbappe they sign, Barca recruits youth with essence. A youth that will grow here, that will fall in love with his shirt, that will follow in the footsteps of Messi and Puyol, and will have nothing to do with mercenary players who quit at the first bad day. Here's Esteban, a kid who already loves Barca and who will destroy the white narrative that the club is finished. Madridismo still doesn't realize what's coming with Estiano, because they live in their little white bubble, where they think having Mbappe solves everything. But reality is very different. Mbappe is an impact signing, but soulless. It's marketing, a quick spotlight, not a project. It's a fleeting present, and that's it. With Steban, it's strategy, planting a seed that will bear fruit for 10 years. It's building the future on solid foundations. But what hurts Madridismo the most is that Barca is ahead of them again, that Barca still has that magnetism with Brazilian prodigies, because the kid has already said once that he dreams of following in Neymar and Ronaldinho's footsteps, that he wants to triumph in Europe, but by doing it at a club that lets him be a star, not just another pawn. And only Barça offers that. And of course, their media has already started the disinformation campaign. Marca will publish that Esteban interests Madrid, but the club decided not to enter the race because they don't think he brings enough. AS will say the kid prefers to wait, that he doesn't want to make the jump now, that there was no room. El Chiringuito will turn it into a circus with Jordi Wild in "he's Barca's" mode, and Roncero will slam his hands on the table, pretending not to be hurt when deep down he's shattered. That's Madridismo, a steel facade and a heart of melted butter. The key here is that Esteban is a symbolic move. It's reclaiming that feeling that every South American genius wants to wear Blaugrana, that no matter how much money Florentino offers, there will always be one magic phrase. Do you want to play where Ronaldinho danced, where Messi made history, where Neymar humiliated Madrid? And just like that, the money becomes secondary. The emotional factor kills the blank check. The locker room, the stadium, the fans, the legacy, everything pulls toward the Blaugrana shirt. Florentino can recruit skyscrapers on Castellana, but he can't buy a player's soul. And Esteban is already destined for Barcelona. If you're tired of hearing Roncero whine, Edu Aguirre stutter, and want to see Barça reconquer Europe with golden kids, subscribe now, cool. Here we say it like it is. That's why this signing isn't just football, it's a psychological blow. It's reminding Madridismo that Barça will always be the place where history-changing players are born. While they hype up Vinicius like he's Pelé's successor when he spends more time on the ground than standing, we're signing a kid who takes on and solves challenges like he's been playing in Europe forever. The comparison is brutal, and Madridismo knows it but won't admit it. Now, let's get to the heart of it. What will happen on White TV the day it's officially announced that Esteban is Blaugrana? Let me paint the scene so you can laugh with me. El Chiringuito starts. PEDRI, with a solemn face, says, "Breaking news, Stian William has signed for FC Barcelona," and the camera immediately cuts to Roncero, eyes red and trembling, clutching a tissue. This is a swindle, it's unfair. Madrid can't be left out of these deals. Then Edu Aguirre stutters, "Well, actually, he wasn't that good, he was overrated. Florentino never really wanted him." Meanwhile, Jordi on the panel throws his arms up, takes off his shirt to reveal a Blaugrana jersey underneath, and screams, "Visca el Barça and Visca Catalunya, another Brazilian saying no to you." The white fans lose it. The argument is monumental, and PEDRI tries to pretend he's neutral when really he's thinking, if only Florentino had leaked me something else to cover this up. It'll be a classic cool moment. Like when Neymar humiliated Madrid, like when Ronaldinho was applauded in his own house. These are the wounds that never heal, the ones that become a collective trauma. Madridismo can't stand losing to Barça in the boardrooms, because they always sell their economic superiority. They claim they have more muscle, that Barça is a declining club. But the inevitable happens. The cracks want Barça, and their whole narrative collapses like a house of cards in the rain. Imagine how they'll spin it. Florentino didn't want him. Florentino refused. Florentino didn't deem him necessary. But the truth? Florentino has no street smarts, no idea what makes Camp Nou vibrate. Florentino knows how to sign vending machine Galacticos, but he doesn't understand the difference between a marketing boy and a footballer who turns a match into a festival. That's the difference, Cules. Barça has sensitivity. Barça knows art. Barça has the eyes to recognize a crack. Barça has a South American soul. Do you believe Esteban will silence the Bocas Blancas? Do you believe the Camp Nou will witness the new Ronaldinho of the 21st century? Or do you think Florentino will repeat the historical ridiculousness of saying he didn't fit Madrid's profile? I've got it clear. Esteban is Blaugrana. Esteban is the future. Esteban is the white nightmare.